Hello and welcome to yet another Legends of Runeterra podcast. I'm joined once again by Wick. Hello, Wick.
Hello, Conansson, and hello, everyone.
And today we have a special guest once more who reached out to me on Twitter and was trying to get into Legends of Runeterra podcasts because they are a voice actor and do some awesome Legends of Runeterra stuff. And I'm very happy to welcome Ben Gray today on our show. Hello.
Hello.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? And the cards
Okay,
you play.
my name is Ben. I go by MNC Dover. The reason I go by Dover is because if your name is Ben, everyone jokes in high school. They call you, "Oh, you're Ben Dover." So I just kind of I nip that in the bud. I get that ahead of that joke, so they can't use it against me. Um, but yeah, I'm 46 years old, so I'm typically the elder statesman of any gaming thing I'm a part of. And I live in Seattle. I do voice work for a living. I'm a voice actor. I've been doing it for 3 years full time now. And I love games. I've been playing games since I was two. I want to say my first gaming I did was at the library on Apple IIe computers back in like 78, 79. So yeah, Atari, Nintendo, through every generation, I've played it all.
Very cool. And what kind of voice acting do you do? Like actual card games or games in general, or more like narrations? That is.
So when it comes to voice acting, like you kind of you gotta. I mean, there are people that specialize, that can like I do anime, I do gaming, and whatever. I'm just kind of because I've only recently started doing this 3 years ago. I've kind of just been a generalist. I basically will do whatever anyone will pay me to say, within reason, of course. But like I've done my very first project I did was for a high school uh, like a high school project. I don't know. The girl was like, "I just need you. Can you sound like a dad?" I'm like, "Yeah. I mean, obviously, I am a dad. I can do that." So, and I did that, and I did it, and she was like, "That's amazing. You're awesome." I'm like, "Okay, all right, cool." So that was my first one, and but after that, I got to do some voice work for YouTube videos, like narrations, like, "Oh, the top 10, blah blah blah," that sort of stuff. Then you got some animations, did some indie games. I've done some bigger games now. I got my first AAA title coming out this month or
Oh,
this
wow.
year in November next month.
That's rad.
It's a game called Gungrave Gore. So I'm pretty excited about that one. I play a character named Bunji, who's like
That-
the coolest character in the game. So I kind of got lucky there.
That's super
Um,
rad.
but yeah, you just basically you name it, I've done it. Audiobooks, commercials, ads, everything.
So what's your connection to Legends of Runeterra? And are you like a pro player or are you like a casual?
Oh, clearly I'm pro. No, not at all. I am like I started so I my first card game experience, collectible card game is like I never played Magic. I sold Magic. I worked at EB Games for a while. I always sold Magic, but I never played it. And I didn't really play card games until Hearthstone. And my wife introduced me to that because she's a big Blizzard fan, and she's like playing it and she's having fun with it. I'm watching. I'm like, oh, this is kind of neat. I've always liked, gaming in general. I've got a degree in game design. And so I would watch it and play it. And I'm like, oh, this would be cool. I wonder if you could, like, I wonder to see if they add new cards and stuff. And so I just got addicted to it. Played for about 4 or 5 years, I think. And, and then eventually it was just like, you know what? This is garbage. Like I'm paying way too much money to keep up with this game. This is ridiculous and power creep and blah blah blah. So eventually I just got burned out. I mean, it's 5 years. I put in plenty of time. So I was like, okay, I'm done. And I stopped. And then like a couple months go by. I'm like, okay, I still want to play card games. So let's try Magic. So I played Magic. I played that for about a month. I only had enough resources to make one deck, and then, like, I would just get crushed because there's, like, 8 billion cards to learn, so it's too overwhelming. So, like, "Oh, forget it," and I throw that to the side, and then somebody's like, I catch up this thing about Runeterra, so I'm like, "What's Runeterra?" And it's like, "Oh, it's about League of Legends." I'm like, "Oh god, League of Legends. I've heard nothing but terrible things about League of Legends. I don't it's toxic, that's all I know."
Toxic.
So I watched a few trailers about it, and I watched some people play it, and I'm like, "Okay, this is like Hearthstone and Magic merged together." Like, you get like the goods of both games without all the garbage. Like you don't have to worry about getting mana bricked like you do in Magic, but you actually have interactivity like you don't have in that in Hearthstone. So it was like a marriage of both worlds. And I played starting in open beta, and I've been playing every day ever since.
Awesome. That's super cool.
Great to
Yeah.
have another game designer on right after the Riot Blink.
Oh well, I mean, like he's like getting paid for it. I never got hired as a game designer.
So you have a
Ergo, I'm
degree in
a
it.
voice actor. So I tried. It's a tough industry to crack into.
And I have to agree with you that it's really impossible to go back once you've tried these free-to-play card games like Terra or Gwent.
Mm-hmm.
Like I played
Oh
Legends of
yeah.
Runeterra and Gwent, and then I just started Magic Arena again, and it was like, okay, I'm going to build these 3 decks, and then have fun with them. And wait, I don't have resources for one of them. I uninstalled Magic Arena and
It was
played the other
still
games
it's
again.
so shocking. Like having been trained in Hearthstone to spend $60 per expansion every 3 months, and like just to get not everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, like when I started in Runeterra, I bought that $5 starter pack because I thought I need to get more cards. And I look
Yeah.
back, I'm like, well, that was stupid. Now I've got like I look at my resource tab, it's like 700,000 shards and,
Yeah.
like 500 commons and
Mhm.
70 rares, or it's so much. Like I feel bad now, so I buy season passes. I'm like $10 every couple months. I'm down for that. Like, take my
Yeah.
money, please.
Yeah. I think I've only spent money on cosmetics in this game. So
Yeah, yeah.
And it's so sad that there's not like I personally want to support more, but last patch, like the 10th patch, I dropped like wanted to drop another $50 on this. There was just like 2 skins that cost $50, so you couldn't even spend that much money if you had any. Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, you also design custom cards.
Oh, so I love making custom cards. It scratches an itch, a design
Mhm.
itch, and I started doing that back in the Hearthstone days. I would make custom cards and sets and stuff, and so it just naturally was easy to do it in Legends of Runeterra as well.
Um, and yeah, let's just can take a look at one of them. That's
Sure.
Coco. I really like you also we have to showcase that first. We also did some custom voice lines for some of these cards.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just show the viewers one of them out for you. Puzzly Crankenbottom.
Fuzzly Crankenbottom.
It's really amazing.
It's so good.
Junk goes in, who knows what comes out.
Background music. Know what comes out.
All right, I'm here. Who called for me? It's too early for this. All right, let's go. Let's get it done. Time to scrap.
And that's just your voice, right? Like do these.
Yeah, it's just like I said, to do voice acting. So I thought this was actually the first time I decided to do voice work for my custom cards,
Oh,
because
really?
everybody does custom cards, but nobody does voiced custom cards. And I was like, I should do that. So I actually had to learn how to make little videos to put the voices into the with the cards. So that's why these videos always look very basic and generic. But an editor I am not. I provide the voice. So yeah, I just thought it would be fun, and then I got a pretty good reception for it, so I just kept doing it. Haven't done it in a while, so maybe I'll come around to doing it again.
uh, yeah, let's maybe look at the more recent set you designed. I find this one really
Mhm.
interesting. Really going to if Wick, if you looked at them, you look at them
Yeah, I
together.
did.
Nice. Um,
I think they I think Ben posted them on in their individual posts, so you
Yeah,
might be able to get
you
larger
can get a better
images.
picture if you look at the individual pictures and stuff.
Yeah, just open up the
together.
thread.
Just
So
scroll
this is
to the
like the
top.
base one, right?
This is the one I started with. I had this idea of a card, because I like the idea of like revealed cards in your hand, because that's something that's kind of unique to this game. Magic did it as well, but it's like, oh, revealed cards are kind of cool, but they don't. You just see it. You don't actually interact with that in any way. And I thought it would be kind of a cool way to interact with revealed cards in your hand or your opponent's hands.
Mhm.
So the idea was, I would have this card that would add two great cards to your hand and a prank to your opponent's hand. kind of like, you go ahead and prank me. But if you hit one of these two cards, it's a downside. So
Yeah.
that's where the idea started. And then after I posted this, it got some traction. And then the way my brain works, I was like, what if I made more reveal cards? And, which is something I should never have done because now it just gets out of control. So it took me about 30 minutes and I made the Silco set.
Yeah.
And, I open up the KF Pixel, whatever that website is,
Yeah.
and I just kind of like come up with card ideas and throw them out there. Like a lot of these are unrefined and probably not balanced or maybe worded incorrectly or a little messy. But
Mhm.
like I said, it was 30 minutes on a Saturday. My kids were running around screaming in the background. So I was having to like constantly stop. So, yeah, these are just ideas that I came up with. Like, how could a reveal card work? Like, oh, you're
Mhm.
giving away information from your hand intentionally to gain bonuses. That was the idea.
That's so great. Like it's a really interesting design space that's not really got before. And
Yeah.
like I recently watched a Hearthstone video where the guy was like, I make this Dr. Boom card and gives my opponent a 0 mana spell, you lose the game.
Yeah.
Talked
Yep.
about how this is a bad idea because it's like if you play on your phone and you accidentally misclick, then you have lost the game by playing out the card or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, shouldn't just say lose the game, but I like I would never play this spring unless you're playing like Shellfolk. But
Hmm. Oh yeah, I mean,
interesting
it'd be pretty
concept.
bad to play against Shellfolk using that card, but
I mean,
I like risk reward when it comes to designing cards.
Mhm.
I remember one card I made a long time ago. It actually got featured in Sunny's video. He did like a custom card review, but it was a P and Z card, 1 mana spell, fast spell, I think, and it was an untested elixir, and it was deal 1 damage to a unit. If the unit survives, grant it a random keyword. So it was like, okay, you got a little. It's like, oh, it's a ping, but let's say they
Mhm.
have a counter spell or a way to buff their unit. Now you've just granted it a keyword. So like elusive or regeneration or scout or something. So I thought
Oh,
that's kind of a fun push and pull mechanic.
I viewed it as you damage your own minion.
yeah, yeah, like your Brom or
Scar
something.
grounds, you
Or
know.
yeah, you could do it that way too. Like yeah, it's got lots of different uses like that in many different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Suddenly
yeah. Who
rotates
wouldn't
out.
love that?
Let's look at the champion as well. Phantom Silco.
Yeah, right there. Silco.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
4 mana, 2/5 space. Summoned or rounds that advice to reveal an unrevealed card in your one. If you can't reveal a card, draw one and reveal 10.
Yeah.
Fill up if you have 5 cards. Revealed cards cost. Because like all of the created cards, like most of the created cards actually revealed like a mini.
Yeah. Oh, him and
Yeah.
Victor. Yeah, it's a lot of synergy.
And they're kind of buddies, right?
Yeah.
From the
Yeah, that's
arcane at least. Well, I guess
kind
they
of fun.
weren't buddies, but you could see them as buddies.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then I thought I'd try something a little different. He instead of having a champion spell, if you have one on the field, he turns into a landmark that you can put into play, which
Yeah.
might be terrible, but I don't know. I thought it would be kind of fun anyway.
I thought that was rad. I don't know. I feel like that was such like if they made Galio's like
Yeah, Galio would be a
champion
great
spell.
landmark spell. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. But I think that was super clever
Yeah.
and
The
I don't know,
only
very
downside, of
interesting.
course, is there's no advantage to putting a second private office in the on play. So I would probably want to tweak this a little bit so where there would be some advantage to
You
to
would
s- to doing that.
you could just draw two, right? Oh, you would just draw two.
Well, I
That's
guess
fine.
maybe oh yeah, I guess the way it's worded it does. Okay, never mind. I'm awesome. What can I say?
Yeah.
Thought about it all.
Great design. I think this card is super broken. Uh, does a card that's get generated face up count as revealed or not?
The first time you reveal a card, so like if you use devise on a card in your hand, you would reveal a card in your hand, and that would trigger a private office to draw another card for you.
I mean, like, let's say I have a gift giver gem
Hmm.
guy.
With your gem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this guy just gives me a gem face up. Does this count as
Yep.
revealing a card or not?
Um, I don't see why not. If you're generating a revealed card to your hand, sure.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, but see, some people had some feedback, which is right. I mean, like I said, I threw this together in like 30 minutes. But the idea for Silco is he's more of a control champ that draws a lot of cards and reduces costs, but doesn't have a win condition.
Yeah.
So you want to pair him up with somebody else that like Demacia. They have crappy card draw. So like putting him in Demacia or putting him with Victor, who and Silco's generating a lot of cards and
Yeah.
Victor's generating a lot of cards. All of a sudden you've got like a zero cost hand that you're constantly cycling. Could be
Hmm.
pretty busted.
Yeah. I think.
Or TF, thank God
Oh
he's
my.
rotating though. But
Yes.
yeah, it'd be
We all
pretty
just
busted with TF.
talked about Vladimir, we talked about Jeff, now we the third champion.
That's right.
Over.
Right.
Get him out of here. TF died
Goodness.
so Silco could enter the game in this way.
True. True. It's so true. No, I really like how you come up with like entire packages.
Mhm.
And they always seem very cohesive thematically, and the mechanics that you introduce are always very interesting. So I do appreciate your
Oh,
custom cards. I'm not super into custom cards. I've never really been into that scene across any of the card games that I've played, but yeah, I
mhm.
think with lore, I think there's so many really intelligent custom card creators. So it's been a lot more
Yeah.
fun in this game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like the Reddit threads and stuff. And
Hmm.
you know, what's interesting, I post this on Twitter, and then I posted it on Reddit, and I posted in Sunny's Discord because he's got a custom channel Discord.
Hmm.
The Reddit thread and the Sunny channel, not a single comment. Like it's just
Yeah.
like whoosh, they're gone. Twitter blows up. I don't get
Yeah.
it. Like I don't understand how it works. So whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels that way. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
I've always got armor,
Ooh.
equipment, champion. If your champion dies, summon an hourglass, and after dies for sure. One
Oh
plus one
yeah.
because you like really cohesive.
Plot
That's
armor.
it actually.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't like to do big sets mostly because it's exhausting.
Hmm.
But,
Hmm.
like and then I make mistakes here and there, and, it's like, "Oh, I wanna change a tweak a thing, but then I forget to change the mana cost or whatever," and it's just like, ugh, it's a mess, but it's still fun, and I do find a lot of enjoyment about it. So, right, if you're listening, I'm totally around to voice cards for you and create some cards for you if you need be.
Hmm. Hmm.
Maybe to follow up on your casual standpoint. I've always wondered
Oh, yes.
how does it feel to play Legends of Runeterra casually? What formats do you like? And did you play the little bit rest each day and then
Sure.
head off?
Yeah,
How do you
so
do that?
basically, casual hardcore. And what that means is that I play the game twice a day typically. Um, Usually in the mornings, I got this routine in the morning: get the kids their breakfast, get the wife her coffee, get everybody set and going. And while they're all consuming breakfast, I go downstairs and I start Path of Champions. And typically, I'll get most of it done. Path of Champions, the way it changed is it used to be you get like 3 wins and you would get bonus XP for each win. So I'm all about min maxing, right? So I get my 3 wins. Well, when they started this 2.0 update, they added a daily quest. It's like, hey, if you get 5 wins, you get a little XP and some bonuses. I'm like, ah, mother. I was like, okay, so I'll get my 2 extra wins. And so I do 5 games of Path every day, and then, just to min max those wins. And then by that point, it's time to go to school. I gotta work all day, pick up the kids, dinner, blah, 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 wife, home, blah, everything. Once everybody goes to bed, then I do my PvP wins. I try to get my 3 PvP wins every day. So basically, I'm playing the game just to min max out my quests and my experience. So that part is hardcore, but I only play it casually. So, like if I get my 3 wins, I'll literally just turn the game off. If it takes me 6 games and I get my 3 wins, then I'm done. You know, if I'm on a hot streak, I get 3-0, I don't keep playing. And I think that's probably better for my mental health. Um, in the long run. I think a lot of people could probably do well actually just stopping playing after a short period of time, or if they're losing a lot, just take a break and walk away from it. But
Wow. Touching grass.
yeah,
Crazy.
touch the grass outside, my friend. Sometimes I did get back to working out, so I got a new elliptical bike, and so I'll play during my elliptical game, or I'll play while I work out. So like my opponents playing and they have no idea that the other person's like sweating their ass off and working. And it's like, "Ugh, I hate this. I hate my life. Take your turn already." Like I just want to, I'm just exhausted. So,
Oh
but hey,
man.
sometimes that works.
Running until the game ends. Armor mirror.
Yeah, well, I usually do about 45 minutes, so I'm like, if it
Mhm.
looks like I'm in that 38, 39-minute range of being done, I'm like, "Okay, no more. I'll just this last 6 minutes, I'll just, watch a video or whatever, open
Mhm.
some Netflix
Mhm.
thing." Because no, I got caught up in that one time I was playing in a Nivea game versus another control guy,
Oh
and
goodness.
literally it was like 27 minutes, and I look at the clock, I'm like, I'm at 52 minutes, I gotta stop. I'm like, my
Oh.
legs I'm on fire, like, so you know what? You win, you just win, pal. I can't anymore. So,
I think as people like you are the majority of the player base.
mhm.
Tons of want to spend the whole day just finding out
Well,
who's like some nice games
I
and
well, yeah, but I do admit to liking Anivia. She is my favorite champion, so that is a conundrum I do deal with. I have her. She's my like level 5 most points earned, blah blah blah. So, and I keep coming up with ways to make Anivia better. I make custom cards for Anivia. I'm like, oh, Anivia should flip when her egg hatches, like,
Oh
and
yeah, I
her egg should
saw that.
hatches at the end of turn. And people are like, "No, no, you're terrible." I'm like, "Guys, games are ending on turn 5, okay? People are coming in. Swain can hit the board on level 5 flipped. Pre-nerf
Mhm.
Kaisa,
Mhm.
level 5 flipped, ending games on turn 5 and 6. You'd have to kill your Anivia on turn 6, hope your egg survives on turn 7, then she comes back leveled. You've got a 4/6 that deals 2, one of them on turn 8. This is not gonna break the game, guys. I'm just letting everybody know now. Buff Anivia. I'm just saying. You know, she's the Freljord's eternal guardian. She deserves a respect.
Yeah, she could probably use some
have to
buffs.
over to playing a Nivea burn.
Yeah. Problem is, there's a lot of people that hate Anivia, like they hate darkness or they hate this or that or whatever. And I understand. I get it. I hate darkness. It's my ugh, don't get me
It's
started.
oh okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Of
I feel
darkness.
that.
Let's not fight here. Keep it.
Oh, you know what? It sounds like we're gonna have an Anivia darkness match. We'll just best of one. We'll settle this.
Oh
Sure.
goodness.
Yeah, I'll upload it later to the
Yeah.
channel.
I love Vagar though. I love his voice and I
Yeah,
love his, personality. I just hate darkness and Senna and all that comes with it. So,
I really feel you with like the half quest up and then 5
mhm.
games of half. I usually just play Jinx.
Oh yeah, Jinx is awesome. She just wipes everything out super fast. There's too. I don't think there's enough people playing Path of Champions. I think it's a game mode that gets laughed at or looked down upon because it's casual versus AI. But that game is really fun and it's really relaxing. And I think it's a good change of pace that some people should be checking out more often.
Really interesting.
Yeah. Plus,
You
it's an
think that
easy way to level up your vault if you like need more cards. So.
yeah,
But Sparkling
yeah.
Ice to use
Mhm.
database is really helpful because count.
Mhm.
You know,
Absolutely.
that's so true. Just using Path to power level accounts on other servers so you can play in tournaments over there. That's really smart. I wanna spread that info around. Yeah.
Yeah, we should do
I
that.
think I think the Jinx Path of Champions really helped me grind through my event pass in
Mhm.
time.
Oh
Just
yeah, yeah. I
uh,
totally burned through that.
yeah, I was just sprinting through the first as Jinx quest over and over again,
Mhm.
just
I saw was it
turboing it.
I think it's Bane on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just like, "How do I finish this quest?" Finish a game 5 times with 20 or more Nexus health. It's like, "Just path it." "I don't wanna play path." I'm like, "Well, okay. Good luck then."
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's like a vocal percentage of people who are not. I think a lot of people are anti-Path solely because of the way that Riot communicated the focus that they have for the game
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
different game modes. I think that's why people may have some certain saltiness towards that mode. And
Totally understandable. Yeah.
and then there's that one time where everyone got forced into Path, and there was
Mhm.
all that. So I think there's like some things that cause that, but I'm surprised that you think that not enough people play it when I think that a majority of the player base is still playing Path over PvE. I
Oh,
think
right.
maybe yeah.
Yeah, I meant like more PvP players should give it a shot. The ones that haven't played it or just think it's dumb or something is just give it a try. It's actually a lot of fun just to make a broken deck and, burn through something real quick. But to each
Were
their own. I find your
yeah.
happiness where you find it.
Were you really big into like what is that other game that everyone talks about? The roguelike
Slay the
card build.
Spire.
Yeah.
I may have maxed out every character and beaten the heart. Yeah, I've played
All
a
right. All
metric
right.
ton
All
of
right.
Slay the Spire. So yes, I was actually hoping Path would be more like Slay the Spire,
Yeah.
but you
Gotcha.
know, it is what it
Gotcha.
is.
How many hours
I
do you have?
Let's not talk about next subject. Come on, we don't. Nobody cares about that. What's a couple hundred
um
hours of your life that
right.
you could be
Right.
spending with your children and loved ones?
Yeah. I mean obviously I didn't even know what Slay the Spire was called, so I've not really been one for these card roguelites.
Hmm.
But Path was I think I really saw the value in Path as like what you're mentioning, just like a little bit of a reprieve from the PvP ladder grind.
Yeah,
Um, it is just I think just like the vastness of the mode has eclipsed the main game in terms of like features and dev time for sure in recent history.
I would like
But
to, since you brought it up, the ladder grind. I
mhm,
do want to say that even though I'm casual hardcore when I play, I have reached masters 3 different times, and usually it's just doing my slow plodding turtle mode of just playing a little bit every day and getting there.
yeah.
Um, but I will say that I still get ladder anxiety, especially when I'm like reaching a platform of like about to level up and like, oh, I'm about to go from
Mhm,
plat to diamond. It's like those
mhm,
last 3 levels. It's like so frustrating, or just the nerves, right?
right.
And, I will say that I love the changes that Riot made to the
Mhm.
to the
To
point
the rank
system and
point
leveling up,
system. Mhm,
especially in Diamond. That 2 points makes all the difference. Like,
yeah.
it's so frustrating to have gone from, like, you're going in and out of rank Diamond 2 to Diamond 3, you keep falling back and forth, and this one, you get that little extra, like, emergency landing, that just 2 points go away, and it's like, "Oh, that was a 2-point loss, not a 20-point loss."
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
really appreciate that. My climb to ladder to masters this season was much easier and much more
Mhm.
appreciated. So very
Yeah.
good change. And if
It
people are
made
complaining about that, no, they're wrong. So you can just tell them I said so.
Yeah. I think it's relieved a lot of mental stress from people, but
Hmm.
in the you previously you mentioned that you never played League of Legends, right? And that you
Right?
didn't
Yeah,
really
yeah,
know
yeah,
much
yeah.
about it. So, I mean, Conansson and I have played that, and I think whenever I think about people talking about ladder anxiety, not to talk down on people, but man, playing League of Legends for so many years and playing ranked League of Legends has just fried my brain. So I don't know what ranked anxiety is anymore, just because like the trauma of like playing in your like placement matches
Right?
with like four randoms and just getting constantly fed on.
Yeah,
It's warped my brain. But I'm glad that these changes have helped. I know it's made my. I mean, I finally climbed to masters because it just took so much less time.
yeah. It's
Because like
it shouldn't
yeah,
be such a grind. It should be a fun, enjoyable experience.
yeah.
And with less Azarelia, darkness, and Kaisa out there, it is a more enjoyable experience. So let's keep that up.
I don't really play it to
Oh,
try it out.
my bad.
Like my best ranking is in not good, but I was like, oh cool, this is Ash, so actually does terror. That's very cool. Almost like I'm just
Oh,
Yep.
I thought you played. I totally thought you played. No, okay. Because I used to like I used to play like ranked League of Legends for like 8 to 10 hours a day back
Oh
in
my
like
goodness.
when I had the youth. You know what I'm talking about?
Right,
I'm
right.
this is like over 10 years ago at this point.
Oh my
So
goodness. I still wasn't young 10 years ago. So,
yes, you were. You're still young now. Don't even worry about
well,
it.
see, it's funny. I've got this like high pitched voice, and I do have a baby face. When people look at me, they're like, like, "Yeah, so how old do you think I am?" And they're like, "Psh, the way you act or the way you look," and they're like, "Hey, you're 27 or 31 on the high end or whatever." I'm like, "Nope, 46." They're like, "46?" I'm like, "Yeah, 1976." So nobody believes it. That's one advantage of having a baby face. Um, the disadvantage was in high school, of course, like looking like a 12-year-old in high school and like getting carded for everything, can't go to see rated R movies. I'm like, no, I really am. Like, I really am 18. Like, so, but long term benefits.
Yeah. Hey, looking young, it's not a curse. It's not
No,
a
no,
curse.
it's quite the blessing.
Right. So, but
Oh,
that's
and
funny.
as a complete tangent here, I
Yeah.
was looking here at my Twitter feed there. It says I have 201 followers. Um, so I am not a big Twitter person. I really wasn't a Twitter person until I started, posting about League of Legends of Runeterra
Hmm.
on Twitter. And I probably had maybe 100, probably like 70, 60 followers, and it was mostly like friends and family from high school. Like
Yeah. Same.
nobody
Hmm.
cared, right? And it wasn't until I started posting about Runeterra that I got on Twitter a little bit more. And funny enough, and I never got a chance to say it, but it was during, how do we call this? Um, He Who Shall Not Be Named moment, when that drama came out
Mm.
over that guy who likes to be in the
It's been a
pool.
very yeah. It's
Yeah,
been a
that we don't
very
like to talk
dramatic.
about.
It's been a
Yeah.
very dramatic year.
Yeah, and so, like, when all of that was going down, like, I'm, like, following him, like, because I used to watch his stuff, and I'm like, "You'd be a fan and all that," and I was like, "Oh, wow, like, this is really terrible," and I remember when it was first announced, like, rumblings and rumors, everyone was like, "Well, we don't know. Let's get the full story. We don't know, blah, blah, blah." But Wick was like, "Nah, man, burn him in hell. He's the worst. I don't trust him." And just like with your finger pointing avatar, and I was like, "Whoa, who this dude? Like, he's all in on the hatred." And you were right. And it was funny because like I would post stuff, and then you like liked one of my comments or something, or favorited
Hmm.
it, and it just
Stop.
yeah, exactly. It steamrolled. Like people started getting noticed whenever
Yeah.
you would like my stuff because I guess you have a lot of followers and stuff. And so like
Now.
by osmosis, I got like another 100 followers. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that. Good
No.
looking out, Wick. I appreciate
No.
that.
I mean, it's crazy. People don't realize how easy it is to just uplift others on these platforms. Like you said, you posted on Reddit, you posted in Discord, and you didn't really get any traction. But like that's the thing about Twitter is that it's kind of like an open forum where you can just boost the voices of other people, and then the algorithm is really powerful
Yeah.
on Twitter
Oh
as
yeah.
well in regards to like likes and retweets. So I think yeah, I mean it's really cool to get the community connected and see all the people engage with each other. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that you've had a good time
Yeah.
interacting with other community members for sure.
Plus, it gives me an opportunity to learn all of the new expressions and slang from the
Oh yeah,
20-year-olds that I follow because
dude.
I'm like, what's banger mean? So I have to go Google
Oh
all this stuff. Yeah,
no.
I'm old,
Oh
so I'm
boy.
like, but I don't. I
Ah,
make sure
ah.
not to say that, because like, what the hell does banger mean? So I have to go like, oh, it means like really good, So
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I got to pretend, that I know what you guys are talking about.
Oh man, I don't know. All these Zoomers these days, I don't. I have no clue what these kids is talking about. Sometimes I swear.
Well, aren't you a
Um,
kid?
I'm turning 30, bro.
Oh, okay, 30. All right, all right, all right.
I'm
Okay,
Like
25.
I'm not old, but
that's
like
respectable. Sure.
yeah, Conansson's 25, so we're
I
not.
Oh,
recently
what a,
got
what a youngster. So
this.
what behind the ears that one right there, eh?
There's a bunch of like kids on Twitter who like I'll follow them and I'll like interact with them and they're like, oh, I'm 20. I'm just like, damn, hi.
I feel like I gotta stop talking to you right
I
now.
know a little bit, like not in an inappropriate way. I'm just like just
We have
different
nothing in common.
different worlds, different worlds. Thank you, Legends of Runeterra, for connecting so many people. Like, wow,
Yes,
what a
absolutely.
game, what a game. And I think that kind of is a testament to kind of how passionate everybody is about it.
The
From
great
the
thing
devs
about
to the
games,
players. Mm-hmm.
a lot of chess and funny like 7-year-old they can play 85-year language, culture, whatever. They can just chess and connecting people for the world. Like Wick and me would have never met all of these amazing Legends of. Also, I also
Yeah,
want to
yeah, for
shout out to
sure.
Wick. Like, I am sure, like, and most of my own personal.
I think you click on profile button.
I expect, by the way, I do expect after this podcast goes live, I expect to be over 300 followers. So
Oh, for
everybody
sure.
should be liking and following and subscribing all of my content.
Oh, for sure. We'll drop all your links in
Absolutely.
the
Yeah, all
description
my
for
links
sure.
will be in the show notes below.
But like, I started this in April, and
Oh,
back in the
nice.
day, and Wick just tweeted everything. Like, if it was like a garbage take or something, did everything. I work with it.
Yeah.
Kept my YouTube channel for like over a year now, and it's 100. But
I think I made my Twitter account like 10 years ago.
No, same. Yeah.
It's
But
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like it,
never post.
I literally started this March at like 298 followers. And like
Yeah.
literally through just like talking to people, retweeting, liking stuff, like just literally engaging with the community as much as I could,
Mhm.
it fostered a stronger community for the game overall. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people started talking to people who about the game and they'd never had people before. It was so interesting, you know?
Absolutely.
But I'm glad that Lord Twitter has gotten bigger. Obviously, like there's growing pains, you know.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I it's a really fun place. It's a really fun place.
I made a post about that, a tweet about that, saying that lore Twitter is kind of an interesting place because
Mhm.
everybody's really passionate, and we work really well with the developers, but we can also be kind of spoiled at times too.
Oh
But
yeah.
I think that's true of any community. And but I think overall the lore community is pretty receptive and pretty nice to one another.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
okay, let's maybe subject and
Yeah,
cover
too much nice
something
stuff. Let's talk about something mean and terrible.
terrible. Okay, got
What's
some
something mean and
toxic.
awful?
Well, I think
Toxic, yeah.
what else did we had? We were gonna speak about something else, Conansson. What was next on the docket?
This is a
Here it is.
smooth running
The
machine here.
Rotation happened last week.
Rotation. Now that's a toxic topic.
True,
We have
truly.
to cover
That's
that a
actually
little
what my
bit.
post was about. So yeah, there we go.
Maybe showcase it first. What it's about. So we will have two formats in the future. All this like rotation out there, and can have some cards that are going battle format is filed in Hearthstone or done in Magic. No, Modern Legacy in Magic.
Hmm.
Yo, basically
Mhm.
some standard format now. Some cards just have a bunch of recent things and going to float. Like I'm running out of space for my information sites for what controllers can produce. Be very happy if some cards so that
Mhm.
I space and appreciate champion. Latest balance targets. Be correct in samples. Earlier because actually
I mean,
Nope.
I don't mind blades. Honestly, I don't mind it.
I mean, I
There are
don't
decks.
mind it when I'm playing as Fiora. It's
Oh,
great then. Yeah,
I mean,
bring them on.
okay. Could you imagine if we had 3/3 Fiora back in the day? This deck would have never even taken off.
like they
It would have
nerfed
never
it.
even been a thing.
They nerfed it because of fear. That's why
I know.
Hmm.
Never forget a
Monsters.
lawyer for those sins. Anyways.
and Twisted Fate, get it, but kinda like my person in the game.
I love Twisted Fate. He's a great card, but he's just too good at what he does. He needs to go, to build up some design space.
I hope they bring up another Twisted
Yeah.
special cards like made on like real world cards. Desk can't see Twisted Fate anymore.
Mhm.
Then randomly Vladimir. So bad he
Mhm.
can't even be stretched in a
Nope. No.
take him out to potentially buff him into. But yeah. Then they say something about standard and who is going to be ranked and final it's historic for well sometimes FAQ. spotlighting ranked queue. There's also a survey out survey. To clarify the fronts, I'm a big fan of rotation. Not a fan of and I do use.
Well, I do enjoy rotation, mostly because I came from Hearthstone and at first I was upset because hey, my cards are going away and I paid good money for those. And it was frustrating, but after rotation goes through, you realize some of the same janky cards and strategies and the boringness, like it goes away, the staleness. And I think that's for me what I really appreciate about rotation. And it's like just think about cards that are just they're in every single deck. Like when you play P and Z, you almost always see Mystic Shot. And you can't it's always going to be there. It's the best option. And it needed to be printed for the base set, right? You need a card that's like deal 2 damage for 2 mana. But as time moves on, they can't print anything else. Like imagine if they printed like 2 damage, deal 2 to a minion and whatever. It's like people were like, well, I'll just run Mystic Shot. They'll never play that card. So you either need to power creep that, like, oh, this is a 2 mana fast. It's called Mystic E Shot, and it does 3 to anything. It's like, well, now they're running 3 Mystic Shots and 3 Mystic E Shots. So you gotta rotate some of the older cards that are staples just to get out, and it creates more variety in design space.
Vic,
That being said, if
sorry.
they were to rotate out my favorite cards, I'd be upset. So I get that side of the argument as well.
So Vic, what don't you like about rotation?
Um,
Or did you come
when
around
it
to
comes
actually
to,
liking it?
I mean, I think I've come around to really not caring or having like an opinion on it. Well, they've shown that it's like essentially a ban list, right? And so I'm more okay with that because I came from Yu-Gi-Oh! And I thought that the ban list was a very interesting way for them to balance the game. Um, and I think that removing certain packages instead of just removing any sets that came out during X or Y
Yeah,
year is a lot more interesting and
absolutely. I agree
shows
with
that
that.
yeah, so in compared to like Hearthstone or like Pokemon where entire sets are rotated out, I think it's a lot more nuanced and it's going to be a lot more hands-on for Legends of Runeterra, which will feel like the devs are trying to curate the what is it called, standard, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be curating standard a lot, and I find that to be much more interesting and much more engaging than just all right, these cards came out, they're gone. These cards came out, they're gone. You know?
hmm Plus,
So
that's messy. That would be really hard to do because I mean, Runeterra is only what a couple years old, so the card
right,
set isn't that enormous yet.
right. It's not that big, and I mean they have shown that they're interested in releasing new cards for old archetypes. So having those older archetypes just completely rotating out when new cards still exist. So I think having them do it, package wise is really a lot more interesting.
hmm
So
Agreed.
I mean, I'm not upset. Um, I mean, it does suck for some people in some aspects, but I mean, ultimately, if it enables Riot and the devs to spend more time in a more effective or efficient manner, then I think we're set. I think that's good. I don't have an issue with that really.
I have one issue,
Okay.
and it's an issue that most people won't think about, but us casual hardcore will. If they make another daily quest that says win 5 legacy games every day, and they have their own little XP chart, I will probably lose my mind. But I don't think they'll do that. So they'll probably be like win 3 games in ranked or eternal. I'm sure that'll be the update.
Yeah. I mean, right
Uh,
now it's just PvP. Oh, go ahead.
I remember historic back in the day didn't have any rewards. Magic Arena channel format. Loved it because there was no reason to play it, like
Yep.
progress any. Loved it because there was nobody hardcore meta decks to grind, but it was just playing Mimi.
Yeah.
So amazing it was just random cards basically. Just what they felt was fun because it gave you nothing. Press you win daily quest. only the people who wanted to play the game played the game, and they just changed it. If you I hope they don't normal PvP.
Yeah, that's probably all they'll do. Yeah. We want to encourage people to play standard. So.
But yeah,
Yeah.
like my take with has only so much design space. Very strict creation of early game. Only is the game, then we have value at the mid game, late game. Pass is not the mid game. You can't just you only have these ranges where you can print champions. You can't just make a 1-mana 2-1 in value hard, for example. The region you have to like 4 to 5 since bundle right now. You have a guy that's big, the generation eventually gets overwhelmed. Then we have Udyr. It's not that big. Then at some point he gets regeneration, at some point he gets overwhelmed, and then he can't really have Udyr ever be good without making him super broken, while Trundle is
That's right.
that much design space in the game or very similar effects, and you can't just make completely new effects because it makes and holds together. Print random burn cards in Violet, for example, Howling Abyss. 4 mana. Ravine. Ravine was the
Blighted Ravine.
damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's very good to have like worded some packages out so that another new 5-cost Violet champion better than the other. Fine, I think. I also like that they are going to rotate some cards out. Maybe rotate them back in after they
Mhm.
put like a broken Vladimir in Eternal. I know it's 2 or something. Broken there, then don't do it. Doesn't break Eternal, you can standard and
That
don't
is.
Plus,
for
I think it's kind of fun that if you rotate from back in from Eternal, I think that's a really good idea. Like, even if they don't change the champions, bringing them back, like, hey, it's your old friend, Vladimir, he's back. And, those Vladimir fans can start playing him
Yeah.
in standard again,
Yeah.
or ignore him like they always did. But it's just an
S-
option to, like, have fun, reunion tour type stuff if
mhm,
you bring
mhm.
cards back.
It kind of reminds me of the Pokemon video game format. I think I've mentioned this in the past, but the way that the Pokemon game does rank competitive seasons is that like every season there's like a different list of Pokemon that you can't play. And I think that that's really interesting. Having these cards taken out of the game, having the game feel a little different, and bringing them back when it's when people are less tired of it. I don't know. Like I said, I've kind of I'm totally fine with it. You know what I don't really have any more issues with it. It's not
Yeah.
Hearthstone rotations, which is fine.
I think you can also use it as a balancing tool. They want to
Oh,
do
absolutely.
token strategy,
Mhm.
then you rotate Fiora out. Broken, then you can just rotate Fiora back in. Well, now way to deal with.
That's right.
Oh, I think it's a great. I was a little bit confused about rotating the bad champion out, but around to it. Maybe they super buff them.
Yeah, sure. Might as well.
That was our take on Plasmon Trade.
Mhm.
I have nothing more to say about rotation.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Then you had another special idea. We our own voice lines of
Yes.
Oh my
Well, I,
goodness.
I think I think
parts.
we should do voice lines for characters. And you know what? It's voice acting is it's obviously a passion of mine, but you know, uh emulating other voice actors is extremely difficult and
Mhm.
in some ways a little disrespectful. But that's only if you're in a promotional type of or a professional type of setting. But
Mhm.
like I've had people like do custom cards, and I've had people like ask me to voice custom cards, which I will totally do for a very small fee. And like, but don't make me voice your version of a champion that hasn't come from League yet. Because one, I'm not going to sound like your character. Like I not only do I not play League, but
Mhm.
even if I listen to these characters, I'm not going to sound like that voice actor. People are going to be like, "Who is this guy? That's not,
Yeah.
Bob Stevenson or whoever does the voice of that character."
Mhm. Mhm.
So if if people like want to do custom cards or have me do things, just like have me do followers or do
Yeah.
spells or things like that are fun. And I think we should all do our own takes on some either cards that are in the game or our own version of a custom card.
So you're
Maybe
saying we
we
should.
go through your Silco cards.
Oh, that's a good.
On the Silco card, yeah, that's a good idea. I had an idea of like doing a voice for those cards if I got like so many hundred views, but then I looked at how many cards there were and I thought better of it. So you don't need to like that. That's we don't need more. We don't need like it's a yeah. So like for example, Silco, I wouldn't bother doing a voice for Silco because I'm not
He's
going to
in the
sound like the
show.
character in Arcane, right? Yeah, like
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
was really good. He's got a good, perfect voice, and I don't want to hack that up. But if you look at like Drunk Goon, like
Uh-huh.
that could be anybody, you know.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So I think maybe let's do it. I mean, and I'll obviously say I can do the female voices, but they're gonna sound like a guy doing a female voice,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
it never comes out all that well. When I do projects that are like, "Can you do this audiobook?" and I want you to narrate the females, I'm like, "Okay, but here's the thing, like you can bring in a female voice actress to do those lines, or I can do them, but they're just gonna sound like a guy with his voice higher. So why don't we all do
Okay.
uh why don't we all do a take for Drunk Goon, Hired Guard, and Shady Dealer?
I'm down. I'm down.
All
I
three or
love this
like.
idea. Yeah, we each do our own take on each card.
I have to mention that it's like harder for me. American
Well, you could do
speaking
yours in
English.
German, but you could do yours in German if you wanted. Like there's German voices for these cards. So
That's
Exactly.
but then you don't
so
understand what I'm saying.
yeah, you can come up with so every card. Oh, sidebar. I love that every card in this game has multiple voice lines. Like in
Mhm.
Hearthstone,
Great.
it's like you can only hear everyone get in here so many times before you
Oh my
lose your mind,
goodness.
right?
Yeah.
But, like these cards and the way they interact, so perfect. Mwah, perfect, chef kiss. Anyway,
Well, I mean, nature blesses her followers, you know what I'm saying?
that's true. Okay, you're right. They could have a little bit more spice in there. Um, but yes, so we have so choose your card. We got a summon effect. When you play them, they make a sound, right? Then they've got
Right.
their attack sound effect, their
Uh-huh.
defense sound effect, and their death sound effect. So just choose one of those four and then
Okay.
come up with your own line.
All right.
So you,
So,
you got the drunken goon. So say which kind of line you want to do, whether it's summon, attack, defend, or death, and then say your line. And if you want,
okay.
I can start first, or I could put the
Please.
Yeah,
pressure on
we
who
have to
last.
think
Okay,
about
all
it.
right, all
Please
right,
start.
all right, all right. So let's see. We're in P and Z. We got a
Uh-huh.
drunk goon, so we got to think about P and Z accents, or they got a little bit of British in there, right? A little bit. That's my terrible American British accent. So you got to think about the other cards that are in P and Z. So like the guys at Z are like, "What you looking at?" Or "Oh, we better run." They sound like that. So let's see, drunken goon, something like, let's see, what would his summon sound be? His summon
Well,
voice. We'll
he
put on the
reveals
spot
a
here.
card, right? And usually when they do summon effects, like they reference what they do,
Oh
right?
yeah, 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 you're right. Yeah, because so this guy, my idea for him, my lore in my head was that he's like a loose-lipped goon that you get drunk and then he kind of
Gotcha.
spills the plans, Silco's
Uh-huh.
plans. He's
He's a
like,
rat. Well,
yeah,
not
he's
on
kind well,
purpose.
unintentionally, just like he's being buttered up and drunken so
Yeah.
that, you can get, like, information from him. So, let's see here. What would he say? Let's see, "Oh, let me tell you about my friend over here."
That's pretty good. And then yeah, then you reveal the card. I think that'd be really funny if like what if you revealed Soko and he'd be like, "Oh, the boss? Oh, he's that way." You know?
"Oh, boss doesn't want you to know about this, right?"
Ah, it's really funny.
Alright, let's hear your version. You're up, Wick.
I just did mine. I just talked about
I'm
Soko.
sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
That was
Okay,
that was that was when you summon him and you
you
reveal
summoned
Silco.
Stilco. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
about you, Conan? You don't have to do a summon, you could do, like, an attack.
I do like a
You could
death
even
or
do the death
something.
sound.
Like
The death sounds are easy.
Oh, one more. I can have one more. Nice. He tries so much.
One for the road. Like
That's
something like
true.
that. Or
Yeah.
maybe just a thud of a person's head hitting the bar.
Exactly.
All right, so hired guard. We look at
Okay.
hired guard, and he's got this mask. He's got the smoke coming out of it. He's probably got some kind of a synthesized voice, like a
Mhm,
filter
mhm.
over his voice. Um, let's say he could either be intense, he could be goofy. That's the fun thing. Like I like to change
Goofy.
up expectations. Yeah, you look at him, he's like a hired guard, but he could still have a goofy voice.
Okay.
You know. So how about we start? We'll switch it up. We'll have Conan start this time. What kind of line are you gonna be doing here?
So hard to figure that. Weiß nicht,
Yeah,
wie
I
so
mean, it's
einzuhalten.
yeah, so let's see, we got summon, attack, defense, or or death. Okay, how about this? I'll give you the line. How about defense?
I have an idea,
Like,
like
oh
on
yeah, go for
attack,
it. Go for it.
I I make you I make you forget what you've seen because it was revealed in hand. Next you, so
Ah,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. He's like
that's
the
true.
hired thug, right? He's like a
Uh-huh.
hired bounty guard.
Uh-huh.
So you see him coming. That's the whole point of being revealed or whatever, giving him his buff. So forget what you've seen. Something like that. With a type sound effect to his voice whenever he's speaking. Yeah. We'd add that in post. All right,
Yeah,
Wick.
yeah, for sure.
Let's hear yours.
Okay, so if let's say he's blocking, right?
Defending. Okay.
And so he's defending, right? And so if like a guard was he's a guard, right? He's trying to block you
Hmm.
out. What could he say? He could just say something simple, he could be like, "No trespassing."
No
Pretty good.
trespassing. Yeah, that's pretty good. I like
It's
that.
simple.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like the block, because like you could just drag him back and forth. No trespassing. No trespassing. No, you know what I'm saying?
Really annoy your opponent. Well, I guess they don't
Exactly.
hear that. Well, no, they do. I don't
Oh,
remember if they hear it or not, but yeah, it's still pretty funny. All right, so
oh.
let's see. We would probably for him, I would go definitely cool guy voice,
Okay.
deeper
Okay.
with the hissy sound effect of playing in the background, but it would be like, "You'll go no further,"
That's pretty good.
something like that.
He look
So
because
good.
he looks like he has a cape, so he definitely could have a
Yeah,
draw. Like I feel that for him.
"You'll go no further."
That's pretty
Sure.
good. That's solid.
Shady dealer. Okay, so this is your drug dealer, right?
Yeah.
I didn't want to write drug dealer because drugs
Mhm.
are
Mhm.
bad. But he's got this kind of obnoxious, prissy look on his face. So I figured he'd be a little more flamboyant or arrogant. Kind of get that look at his eyes, like ugh, like he just hates everyone and everything, and he's just so above it all.
Right.
Mm. So now he also has the shimmer spell
Mhm.
card, which he can
Mhm.
shuffle into the deck, so you could like make a sound based on him shuffling or keeping it in hand.
Right. Oh, okay. So I guess like when you play the shimmer, right? Because you could play shimmer, right? And it's a
Yeah, you
random
could play it as
ally.
a spell. He could have a sound when that plays as well.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense, right? He could say something like, first file's free. Second one, you'll owe me.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, the first one's free. Yeah, so you play it as like, yeah, he throws it in your hand. He's like, the first one's free. The rest will cost you.
It's so good. It's crazy the way that you're like, I listen to a lot of podcasts and I do play some Dungeons and Dragons, but I think that your voice acting is really, really
Very
the
nice.
Thank you.
range that you're able to present, even
Well,
in
I
just like the small nuances and changes that you make are so impactful.
Well, I think that's there's a lot of people that like, will message me and ask about like, how do I get into voice acting and stuff? And, like I do a really good solid snake. I'm like, well, yeah, everyone can do a good solid snake, but like, how are you got to remember the A part of VA, which is acting. And I think that's what a lot of
Mhm.
people miss out on because like you got to get into that role. Like you got to really pretend you're like you're looking down your nose at these scavenging street rats. Ugh. Like he wouldn't take Shimmer himself, but he would definitely distribute it amongst these, weak Zon knights or whatever. All right,
Feel
so
like doing
Conan,
like
your
another
line. What would shady dealers say for you?
ice or something. Like found by the police. Arts. Oh no. No, you just dies.
Oh, that's perfect. Like, what if he breaks
That's so
character? Like
good.
he's got this snootiness about him, but when
Yeah.
he dies, he's like, "No, it's just medicine." You know, he gets into this panic, like, "Oh crap,
Right.
like, I've been caught."
That's so funny.
Or like, "I want to speak to my lawyer."
Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
Do you know who I am? Like when you summon him or whatever, something like on those lines.
On the move into
Oh, by
combat.
the way, I do voices. I have done many voices for people's D&D campaigns.
Uh-huh.
Like, people will like, "Hey, I want you to do I'm doing a D&D campaign. Do you know what that is?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know what Dungeons& and Dragons is, you know, like, played it back in the day." But,
Right.
they were like, "Yeah, I wanted introductions for my campaign." So, you know, it's almost always some old man telling a story to set up their campaign. Like,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
like, "Along the rivers and the banks, the weary travelers wrong," you know, and so you do something like that, and they just love it. They love it, you
That's
know?
so cool.
Yeah, I love it when I get to do projects that are really unique or out there, like,
Mhm.
people want me to do pirate sea shanties for, like, their D&D campaign or whatever, and it's like, "Okay. I can't sing very well, but I can do a fake pirate accent, so, you know, everybody seems to love it, so we'll call that a gay."
Yeah,
I
that's rad.
very fun like voice line.
Mhm.
Like I just love like I recently started playing like happened to Steve, my favorite character. He's the most
Yeah,
flavorful guy in
I grab random Google images whenever I make a custom card. So it's like drunk goon. I just literally type drunk guy fantasy art, and I put that in there. You know, like, yeah, you put drunk guy fantasy art, and like that's one of the first images that shows up. And I'm like, oh, that's a drunk guy. He's in a bar, and then just slap it in there. And so I'll always get like people like, "Oh, you used Gilgaroth from Magic of War 5." I'm like, "I don't know what Gilgaroth is or Magic of War 5. I literally just grabbed this image." So, you know, I can recognize like a Hearthstone card or maybe even a Magic card, but yeah, anything
Mhm.
past that,
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
man. Um, like it's such a cool card. It's just, because in like my favorite archetype in Gwent are basically they are like these cards and they have a special effect if they are between two soldiers. Fires at random, soldiers fires at targeted. But
Oh, that's cool.
this guy basically his only text is I'm a one-man crew. Because he's next to a guy he can crew the siege engine by itself. I find it such an
Oh, that's
amazing
cool.
one sentence.
It's a nice little synergy there with another card.
That's really cool.
But
They
yeah.
call me the one-man crew, right?
So
Let's
solid.
fire it into the mass. We'll hit something.
It's so clever. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I, what else did we want to speak about today?
I think we've
The
covered
cosmetics.
most part. We can talk a little bit about cosmetics. Had this
Mhm.
lined up. I thought it was fitting with all that talked about before, like special experience. And I think we could
Mhm.
do a little bit better on cosmetics. Like my point, I
Yeah.
always say I'm the person who brought cosmetics to Path of Champions. Doing like a 1,000 upvotes Reddit post about YSM cosmetics in Type of Legends. And like weeks afterward,
You wilted into existence.
Too
Great
powerful.
job, Conan.
look at the cosmetics in the game. I think they add a cool border around it, but I think you could
Yeah.
go to that.
I mean, those two are pretty sad regardless. Like, even the shinier one is still not all that great.
Just the border. I've lined some actual cosmetics up. First of all, this one is amazing. Out, but basically just change the color of the card for each.
Yeah.
Mm.
So simple.
Yeah, I like that.
Helps new players as well.
Changing a tint wouldn't be that time intensive either. So I like to think about it from the other side. Like, yeah, these are great ideas, but like the developers probably can't make a single frame for every region. Like that's 10 different pieces of unique artwork and blah blah blah, and having to code that in the engine. But doing one and then changing a tint, that's probably a lot faster.
Mm.
You could have the intern just do that.
Maybe, yeah.
Du sometimes miss the Hearthstone.
Yeah,
They were so
those are
good.
pretty cool. Yeah.
I dusted all of mine though. I never had any golden cards.
What?
Me neither.
So
Yep, I would dust
no,
everything. Dude,
yeah,
that game was like economy driven. Like as soon as a
I
card goes to WoW or it's gold, bye. I don't need
yeah,
it.
I remember when I used to watch Hearthstone and Firebat would he would be like, "Oh, gold cards, dust, dust, dust," and I was like, "That's so relatable." It's
Mhm.
just I see gold card and it's craftable, it's gone.
If it can't be dusted, I'll throw it in there. That's fine. But if it can be dusted, it's gone. As long as I have
Yeah.
2 copies of the regular, it's gone.
But man, Pilot of Shredder, what a card.
God, that was so busted back in then.
Have you ever seen the Gwent?
No.
Oh
Are
yeah,
they
those are
crazy?
ridiculous. I have seen those.
Oh, wait, I saw this. Is this real? I thought this was fan made. That's
Oh,
crazy if this is real.
every single card has.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Loading.
In between, we can talk about the worst of all online. Now every card has
Yeah.
like this stuff. The only thing
That's
I don't like about Gwent Prismatics is that it doesn't give just
Oh,
card the same,
that's
it just
interesting.
upgrades the animation.
Hmm.
I'm a person that will spend money on something, it has to make golden or like special or something.
Hmm. Hmm.
that's got to
The
be a lot of work though to animate all
the
that stuff.
the cosmetics from Marvel Snap are pretty intense as well.
Yeah.
When you power up your cards, they get shine. They get more 3D and stuff.
I haven't been able to play that yet. Still haven't
Um,
gotten
oh,
there
it's
yet.
coming out soon. I've played it. It feels like War, a little bit more strategic, but
Yeah.
quite.
Singing all of the firework, laughing at it's like
That's the drunk guy from the bar. That's
yes,
perfect.
basically the one-man crew.
That's
You can also
wow.
talk
Yeah,
about like
that's so
the
cool.
worst of all at MTGA, because they literally just do the same thing, then they just extend like mirror the move it back and here
Well,
it's and the artwork, same artwork. They'll have like a hand on the side.
they just made parallax. I think that's what this visual is called.
Like somebody grabbed a Photoshop, editor and just kind of woo and just did a
Yeah,
big circle.
I remember somebody like
All right,
going to
slow it
paint
down by 20%. Ship it. Like there you go. That's your
just
background image.
went to paint.net and went, now it's like very pathetic. But I have to say like the actual like I have this kind of cards.
Oh, those are pretty cool borders. Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, I think we have some
Oh yeah, yeah.
cards.
Plus, that's another resource I have tons of is those gems or whatever they are, the
Really?
whatever. And because I just don't craft any, I get my free one every week or two or whatever it is, and then yeah, I think the only card I've done two. I prismaticed my Anivia and I prismaticed Cythria, Lady of the Clouds, because
Mm.
I love Cythria and all of her cards, and I made a Garen custom card like a week ago, and after the fact, someone was like, "That should have been Cythria." I'm like, "Oh my god, you're right. It should have been Cythria." But que
Missed
sera.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was always wondering, already have all of it. For example, would they be mad if you changed it? Like I would be mad if they made like new like okay, we have the old prismatics, but now let's make separate one.
Oh,
Charge again for
Mm.
update them for
I feel like no one really is like obsessed with these current designs. So I would be surprised. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a small vocal minority, but that's just how things are,
Yeah, that's gonna
unfortunately.
happen. Sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I don't think it caused that much of an issue.
Well, let's ask. Would you be upset, Conan?
like I said, I wouldn't be like I
Oh.
really like the actual champions because they give me more than it. Like special for Leona for
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
more on everything. But these blue ones, they as a shadow ice card.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like the lightning is okay, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably a lot involved in that, though. That's
Mm-hmm.
something to consider.
they have like a funny horse roof, and the horse from the can ride around and then it goes away. It reappears in the window.
Wow.
It's like so amazing.
Just referencing the game being buggy. That's so funny.
That's so good.
Like
Okay, that's definitely a prismatic I would get for Runeterra.
Yeah, that's crazy.
it's
I mean,
like
I guess that's what our animations are in the game, so but that's hilarious.
they have like so many cards with it. 5,000 cards or something.
Oh, good lord.
1,000. Just everyone has like this animation. It's mind blowing. Golden ball
Yeah.
by every card.
Right.
But yeah, I
That's funny.
think that's a good point for our discussion. This was one of the episodes I enjoyed the most. I have to say, talk together, everybody having a good time and talk or laugh.
Mhm. You know, I listen to a few podcasts. I listen to like a few Runeterra ones and stuff like that, but it's mostly like pro talk. So it's kind of nice to not always talk about pro things and some more casual stuff. And I was just like, you know what? I just want to be on one of these. I got a personality. I want to get out there and just start talking. So I kind of apologize for bullying my way onto your stream. I hope you haven't lost all of your listeners. So hopefully they'll come back next week.
I try to mix it up. Like I don't just want stuff every. For
Sure,
example,
sure.
also give a voice. Just give a voice to people who do stuff.
Yeah,
One
yeah.
guy
Pay it forward. I think that's the expression. Oh,
programming for Yu-Gi-Oh! We had half everybody is important, not just
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. And
No, I think that's thank you again for
Yeah.
joining us. It was really fun. It
Yeah,
was really,
I
really fun.
appreciate you guys inviting me onto the show. It was a lot of fun, you know.
Yeah.
Never really got to do a podcast before, so that's a fun first time experience.
but yeah, leave a follow for Ben Gray. We'll leave the description of the video below. Really worth it. Like I never had Twitter engaging with it better. Can't get downloaded. Feels much
That's
better
right.
than like
See if you can top my 4 attempt Lordle there. Apparently, I got 4 today, so nailed it.
yeah. Thanks for watching. We will return actually competitive rating the Bollard card next
Mhm.
nice guest from the yeah.
Ooh, exciting! Can you give us a hint? Come on, then. Don't leave us hanging.
I don't actually have someone
Oh, okay,
potential,
okay, okay. Shh, shh,
potential
shh.
candidates, but they all start with T. So if you go to the Twitter community,
Okay, all right.
Ooh,
Ooh,
interesting. Sounds
exciting,
exciting.
exciting. Alrighty.
see you next week.
All right.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.